We are here today with Professor Gilsung from the University of Zheijang. And we are calling you for your expertise in the higher education and e-learning, which is your expertise as well. Thank you, Professor Gilsung, for taking the time to be here with us. And we have asked you to join us today because of your expertise in the higher education and a research university, teachers' professionalism, professionalization, and on your knowledge about internationalization of higher education.
Great.
Thank you for your time. And I have 5 questions. And I start really from the 5th one and will come up.
Good.
In your opinion, what are the challenges and prospects of internationalization of higher education for the developing world?
Well, it's very difficult to say one or two problems. There's many things complicated and related, the economic and political issues. But just 3 things will be kind of main big challenges is happening in developing country in Asian region. And one thing is that actually Asia has already kind of overtaken both of the kind of North American and European kind of experience. So many Asian students study abroad, the well-known universities in United States or UK or European countries. So they improved a lot, and they graduate, the students are high quality in Asian students. But the problem is Asian university need to improve to their quality, not only to catch up the Western model. I think this is one of the biggest problem and big challenges, because through the benchmarking, the US model or UK model, and then they improve a certain level. But after that, what is the next step? They need to think about what is their own problems, what is their own kind of solution combined with the Western models to improve. If you keep copying or benchmarking without their own consideration,
do you think really the Western model of internationalization of higher education is dominating your region?
Yes, at least from my perspective. Kind of many Asian universities wanted to be the top level of the global universities, so they adopting the faculty members kind of system, or kind of they recruiting the foreign faculties, and they kind of provide the funding by governments. So those things is pushed too fast, and then sometimes kind of government forced university to become a global level of universities. So that is a very different system with the comparing United States, how they worked in the universities.
So what advantage will internationalization of higher education will play for the enhancement of higher education in Asia?
So it's not only for the advanced or not, this to get together. Advanced, they benchmark in US model, they improved. Many Asian students study abroad in United States, and they have improved quite good the quality of education they received, and they went back, go back to their home, and today they become readers, and they start to get the U.S. model to combine with the university, Asian university. But on the other hand, they think the U.S. model or the U.K. model are priority. They think everything is kind of copying. So that is the biggest challenges now. And then now important thing is how the university to be more have autonomy with their awareness for their future development. I think that part is kind of one thing, talk about it. And from the government perspective is massification of higher education, because China and India, I think they have almost 40% of enrollment of higher education by 2020. And then now China is kind of around approximately 20% of enrollment of higher education. Then when they kind of rapidly increased the students' number of higher education, what is the next? All that are responsible by governments.
Yeah.
So that is the kind of big challenges how they can deal with after 1 decade. Yeah.
Okay. To the next one, what would you consider are the key trends of higher education in the world today? Mm-hmm. What are really the trends? You can see it in different ways, either in management, funding, just enrollment, and different ways.
I think the most important thing is globalization. It's based on the economic development. How is the biggest role or strong role of higher education? So there's kind of several things we can talk about is quality of higher education services. That can be the off campuses and providing the excellent curriculum, and they are also kind of recruiting foreign students. That is the industry, how they can provide excellent global level of the education service. And the second one is quality research excellence. This how the faculty, this university, how have excellent quality of research from the faculty members. And then another one is the quality assurance. Mm-hmm. And then nowadays we talk about in the United States and European Union, they have some certain way of the agreement kind of improving the key competencies, how the students graduate after the BA degree, they can get a good job. So this is talk about the key competencies, how they can be more employability. So I think this is kind of more hot issues nowadays. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Then we can jump to the next one. Are there similar or different changes present in your own country or the region when you compare really the trends?
Well, just talk about the regional level. I think just a few years ago, it's already started because in Asian, we always long time ago talk about we can have to be like harmonization. We have to be kind of work together, and we have find out the common some system together, like a Bologna process, a students exchange. So it didn't work very well. But as I knew about that is kind of quality Campus Asia. There's the project is the Korea, China, Japan, and then that is kind of mostly focusing on the promoting the exchange and cooperation among the three countries' universities. Mm-hmm. And that university are keystone university in each university, each country. Mm-hmm. And then it's already started. So for instance, like Beijing University, and then Seoul National University, and Tokyo University. So they recruit the students, and then they exchange. They take the class together, they do the seminar together, and they visit the different three countries together based on the time. So they recognized they need communication, they need to cooperate, and that will going to be the good opportunity to develop each other's. So that one is kind of regionally quite good issues.
Okay. Then a longer question. In our EC, the European Commission funded University in the Knowledge Economy project, we are interested in the ways in which universities are being enrolled to produce knowledge and workers for the economy. Is this something that you see happening in the context in which you are working in? Mm-hmm. What do these changes mean for the idea of the university as we know it?
The meanings related about what my estimation?
Yeah, just the knowledge production and human capital production from the university, how it works there,
so
where you are
mean
working.
Good way?
Yeah.
I think the Asian universities are growing really fast. And then they start to kind of considering about how they can improve the quality of education. I think the most kind of optimistic outcome is the students in Asia, they study abroad, most advanced kind of education system and institutes. For instance, the United States or UK or European, Western countries. And then they study abroad and got a degree for the master and PhD. And they study in one of the top university in there. So they received the good quality, and the numbers are really big scale nowadays. So I think this is a good outcome to have more chance to students study abroad.
And what about the knowledge production? How do you see the progress of research in general?
Yeah, so those students,
yeah.
Some of students, stay in the USA or UK, but nowadays more, the students kind of come back. For instance, in China or in Korea, they have some program supported by government, world-class university the center, or in China have kind of Zheijang scholarship. This is kind of recruiting the students from the outside. When they got a PhD or have the good performance globally, they come to China or Korea, and then using their knowledge, they start to spread about the cooperation together, and then they open to the laboratories. So they are trying to using their knowledge to develop the universities.
Does that mean Asia is not really suffering from any brain drain?
Brain drain is been a long time to talk about that. But compared to before, for instance, in China, as a diplomacy, like when the students study abroad, they have to write some agreement. Mm-hmm. When I finish PhD, I have to come back. If not, you have to going to be some penal, right? But now it's the Chinese government said, if you study abroad, you didn't come back, it's fine, but we still support you the scholarships. That means I think the government do not really worry about their come or back, because they are economically grow fast, and they said in China it's a big market. Whenever they come, it's good that they can play. Mm-hmm. So I think the brain drain is compared to before, it's a lot less than that.
Okay.
Yeah, but India is another question,
A different one.
India is kind of, they study abroad in the United States. They are kind of quite strong brain drain. As I knew about, almost 30% Indian engineers is working in the Silicon Valley. And this is kind of still growing more and more. So
it depends.
The countries, yeah.
Then, what is, in your opinion, the most positive outcome of recent changes in higher education, particularly in line with developing world?
Ranking issue, global rankings. Because just 10 years, just before the 10 years ago, the Asian countries do not really, they try to be, entering the global level of universities. But that THE or Shanghai ranking, QS, those things is kind of the agency to measuring the university top to the bottom among the 500 universities. And then Asia decided to, looking at where's the universities positioning in global level, and there's any one university not in there. Around kind of 1998, Asian university considering about how they can get into the global level of university, and they used the China like 911 and 211 projects. This is established world-class university, and Korea talk about is BK 21st. And so this is the examples during the 2 decades. Now, kind of 2013, as I knew THE, almost kind of 17 universities is ranked in top 100. So I think this is the one example is kind of good, good outcome. Then they really try to be involving the global level of universities.
So in that sense, ranking has really a positive impact upon the Asian higher education?
No, this is the example, good outcome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Otherwise, it has also its own other impact on the development of higher education.
Other impact, you mean the optimism?
Non-positive, for example, unintended impact.
And then we talk about UNESCO. Just 2 years ago, I participated in UNESCO conference. This is kind of quality of insurance in higher education. And that time, this is also the same, kind of 1970s, UNESCO announced the Asia Pacific to the kind of sharing about the quality insurance agreement, quality insurance. But up to now, still didn't work. But just 2 years ago, they're really kind of considering how we can make kind of regional the quality assurance of higher education. Of course, same, South Asian countries, they already have this kind of inside the South Asian, region, they have their own kind of agreement of higher education quality assurance issues. But the whole Asia, still talking about that. But now I think this is kind of good thing is they're really considering we should make the common qualification of higher education. Yeah. Okay,
finally, how really you assess the overall trend of higher education? For example, if you think of Africa, that of the Latin American case, from Europe, Asia, really, what do you see generally?
What I see generally is power is changing. Like, the European countries in the 19th, 20th centuries they're very powerful of the higher education. And of course, the rest of the world, adopting the European education system. And this is still affecting now. But this power moving to the United States, and then universities start transforming more market-based higher education system. And that means the university is not only for the rely on the government. They try to do how they can be more marketized, how they can independently develop their education system. And then they're also considering about the ranking issues and cooperations, all the things kind of coming so fast under the global context. But when you talk about the Latin America, they started changing a lot. And then, for instance, about even the Africa, I'm not clear about the Africa, what is going on, but they started changing a lot too. Because before, the aiding program by international organizations to helping about the very basic level of the education, but now they started considering about the higher education as well. Yeah. The Latin America also, for instance, like Mexico, they have kind of the Mexican university, Tecno Monterrey, this kind of university starting consider about entering to about American university list in there. So they start to apply for the quality assurance. This is evaluated by the American committee. So Latin America, not only for the inside of the university developing, they try to be entering as a member in the United States or other countries. I think this is the biggest kind of changing. And then also I think for instance in Asia is doing about talk about I don't know, for instance, like kind of China, they're doing kind of the university kind of development in this C9. It's the top flag university in China. And then they start alliance making sharing resources together because they're before the independent. They're top university and they work their own. But now they started changing about the kind of sharing resources and techno transfer, credit transfer system. So there are students moving to different university in the nine top university, and then And then the most important thing is they try to have agreement with the European Research University and also the American University Committee. So they are 9 universities, not independently making an agreement. 9 universities to having an agreement with the regional, the university, top university in Europe, in the United States. I think this is kind of a big change in China, just as a case.
Professor Gilsung, do you have any general idea? Just you want to express finally.
General idea of
about higher education.
Anything
that you want to say?
Well, I think one thing I think we need to think about is how to make the people's, the faculty or students' mobility flexible in the whole world. I know that some scholars have different idea because the mobility bring out more problems, and then that maybe have some big challenge about kind of job opportunity in local people. But through the students and faculty mobility, no matter what, it brought out more good result. Because through this mobility, we realize about a lot of things, how it works in other countries, and then we have very easy to, get more information, and then through those students from the outside, bring out the new information and new skills, and changing about their own countries, no matter good or not. And then one more thing I'm considering about the MOOC, e-learning, that one, that is a big issue. And then the United States talk about the MOOC is already kind of mature to become a more commercialized. And Coursera, that thing, they start to kind of sending about the diploma, one course, how much, the expense. So MOOC is, I think, the biggest kind of challenge about the whole, the global universities in the whole world, how to dealing with the MOOC issues.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Gilsung, thank you very much.
Thank you.